Okay. With whom are you with?
I love that. My friend's sitting right here.
Transformational leadership. I help executives go through transformation, change, go through strategy, execution. How are you? Yeah, what I do is industry.
Hi. Morning, Jim James. Meet you.
All right.
Hi, Joseph Jones.
You're by my house. I live like
We just lost. Good for you. That's neat. So good luck. And I'll love Warren.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here this morning. We're so delighted that you took time out of your schedules to get up early and think with us about your personal brand. This is an exciting topic for us, and we'll introduce our speakers in a moment in more detail, but I'll start with myself. I'm Renee Borkowski, and I am the chair of the Marketing, Communications, and Sales Forum for the Executive Club. And these are one of the number of events that we have scheduled this year. What's exciting about this one is this is a chance to invest in you and your brand and how you tackle challenges in your career leveraging your personal brand. Now, as here at Accenture Interactive, and just a little bit about the space and where you are, this is the Accenture Digital Home. Accenture has a number of locations in the Chicago area. This is home of Accenture Digital. You're in the space today that has been designed specifically for interactive workshops with clients. Today, we want this workshop to be highly interactive with each of you, so feel free to reach out to any of our facilitators today with questions as we go through to talk with each other, to learn from each other. Now, at Accenture and within many of our companies, we are watching what's happening across the branding landscape. As we watch brands who are rising and falling, the change is never more dramatic and rapid in the landscape today. That is true of our personal brands as well. As we think about what we want to be and what we're seeing happen to brands in a corporate, in a business environment, also can be relevant to how we think about ourselves. So just as brands are engaging with their customers, they are being shaped by their customers, they're in dialogue, they're in conversation, they invite interaction with their brands today. We're seeing more of that. The same is true of our personal brands as well. So as you think about your brand, it's no longer just about the one-way communication of you out to the masses is what branding was years ago. Branding is now a conversation and a dialogue, and that dialogue today affects our conversation, but that dialogue will continue as you advance your personal brand moving forward. Now, having said that, you may not have a cat's breakfast right now, and you want to sort of clean it up a little bit and crisp up your story. Regardless, we may not at the moment, and went back to a workshop that I had participated in a number of years ago, and in that workshop, it was about 15 years ago, actually, I wrote down, I thrive by connecting people in meaningful ways through digital technology. And so as I think about what's happened in my career, not much has changed. My career, whether it's been in education or corporate real estate or in multi-industry through the digital, on my own personal brand in preparation for today, that some things are timeless. And you'll see in the bios that are at your seats, there are stories like these that have really spanned over time where each of us have built our personal brands. With that, why don't you start, Kim, on giving an introduction for yourself, a little bit about you.
Great, thanks Renee. Oops, sorry. I talk really loud, so I'll hold this away. I'm little, but you know, I project. So thanks so much for having us all here today, Renee, and to Megan. Thanks so much for putting all the time and effort to pull this together for all of you. And I'm really excited to see what some of the outcomes are. So I'm Kim Swoboda, and my company is Aspiration Catalyst. My background is actually technology sales. I worked for companies like CDW and Adobe and US Cellular, and I built sales organizations and teams. And about 4 years ago, I decided to create my own company so that I could spread the impact across many different organizations. And so I work with sales and marketing leaders to make their teams excuse-proof and goal-crushing. And I work with executive women to help them break through the glass ceiling. So those are my brand. And my big thing is really around, I love helping others grow and get better. So, you know, all the different things that I've learned over the years, I bring to bear real business experience, but also I learn so much with every single client that I work from. You know, there's, you know, so much benefit that I gain from those interactions as well. I'm also very involved with the Executives Club. I'm a huge fan of the club, and I lead the Talent Development Forum also. So we have an event coming up May 1 that we'll be sending more information out about soon. So we'd love to see you at one of our Talent Development Forum events as well. So now I will hand off to Laura. All right, my good friend Laura, who's also my co-mentor. So we mentor a group of 10 high-performing, up-and-coming leaders through the Executives Club. And so we've known each other for 4 years, and Laura is amazing. And our group is super fun, so if you're looking for a group, we may have some openings. All right.
Hi, I also talk loud too, so I'll try and keep it. I usually don't need a mic. So the only reason they have me mic is because they're live streaming, and then I had to ask where do I stand because I tend to walk around, and I get challenged sometimes to not use my hands when I'm talking, which is impossible. So my personal brand is I am a catalyst for change, and what that means is that I push organizations and people to the precipice of their comfort level. So if you don't want that in your organization, or you don't want to engage with me to do that, we're not a match, right? So I'm very self-aware and understand the types of environments that I fit in and don't fit in by, you know, trial and error to a certain extent through my career. And I'm usually the token nonlinear thinker in my worlds. Currently I work for a tech company, so if you could think about that, they always say to me, well, you're the creative one, right? So I love doing change. I love asking why, and I'm excited to help you push your boundaries and think about, you know, sort of what is your personal brand, because your personal brand is not, I'm a compulsive problem solver, or I don't know, there's some lazy language out there that as we start to get so much communication thrown at us so quickly, you have to get more deliberate with your words. And I would hope that this is an opportunity for you to do that, to start to think about it. I know I have some lawyers in the room that are super deliberate about their words. So maybe think a little bit like a lawyer and a little bit like a creative person when you're thinking about your personal brand.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Kathleen Toomey, and I'm really excited to be here this morning. I'm a brand marketing leader, and I've spent the last 15, almost 20 years working in various roles across sales and marketing. I've been lucky to work for some big global companies and the Estee Lauder companies, Dyson, also worked for Bloomingdale's, so you're definitely a nationally recognized brand. I have to say, what I've loved about my career is that I've been able to see kind of all different aspects of the journey and of that brand building piece. So whether it be, brand strategy, campaign development, digital communication, or even a bit of sales leadership. It's been really fun to see kind of that whole journey and see how brand is executed every step of the way. I have to say I'm really excited to be here this morning to help you develop your own personal brand. Right now I'm in between and finding my next success story, as JD would say. But yeah, I'm really excited to be here this morning and hopefully help you develop what you feel is your own personal brand as well.
The portable lavalier mic, one of the great innovations of the speaking trade. Well, taking a time machine back to when I was in junior high school, what you folks call middle school today, and I was assigned to do a theme project, a theme paper on any subject in my science class, as long as it was related to science. So I chose the owl, and I'm 14 years old, and I'm doing a theme paper on the owl. Bookmark that. Anybody know what happened on December 8th, 1980? John Lennon was murdered on December 8th, 1980, and shortly thereafter, I started wearing round spectacles as an homage to John Lennon. The owl, the round glasses, where's this heading? When it came time to name my company in the mid-1980s, I drew upon the power and the mystic spirituality of the owl and named my company Owlish Communications. Who could write this? I was branding back then. I was in touch with my personal brand back then, although I really didn't call it my personal brand. It was just a way of me gaining an identity in the business community. And I was meandering around in business. It's okay to be vulnerable when you're branding, right? I didn't know where my next piece of business was coming from in 2006. Think where we were. We were at the headwaters of a Great Recession. It was not the time to start a new business, but it was the right time for me to see LinkedIn. And my introduction to social media was truly not a great one. I got on Facebook to try to monitor my kids, but when they wouldn't accept me as friends, they kind of hung me out to dry a little bit. But LinkedIn came in my life at the right time. And since 2006, I made it my life study. And I've truly answered it like a calling. I've tried to be a leader in the field, and anything that you see written about me, these are things that we write about ourselves to kind of dress our windows a little bit. But the reality is, we're here to help you find the value in and the meaning in your business, because from there, you can start to develop a personal brand. Personal branding is not guaranteed to anyone. It's got to be worked on every single day. You literally have to reinvent yourself, reboot, refresh, be constantly reinventing yourself. And this morning, you're here to reinvent yourself, and I'm damn glad to help you.
Great.
Fantastic. So you all have workshop handouts in front of you. We're going to be using these today. We're not going to be in PowerPoint at all. We want this to be as human and as connected to each other and connected, frankly, to yourself as possible. So if you want to open up your first page, and Kathleen is going to get us started with our first topic. Oh, did I get it? Yeah. Forgive me. Yes, aspirations. Sorry.
That's okay. So we're starting at the end, in the beginning, which is sort of a design thinking process, and we're dealing with an ambiguous problem, right? Your personal brand, and it's sort of overwhelming. So if you start with the end aspiration in mind, or goal, as was in my head, but someone on my lovely panel here renamed it aspirations. It's so much better. So if you start to think about where do you want to go, what do you want to be, but it's about thinking very specifically about that, getting introspective about, in 3 years I actually want to be an independent consultant, or I want to move from marketing to sales, or I want to move from sales to marketing, or I want to leave the company I'm at, or I want to retire, or I want to switch to nonprofit, or, right? So it's really sort of thinking about personally and digging deep in terms of what do you want? What are the goals you want? Because as part of a personal brand, it needs to be who you are, right? Don't try and be the person next to you think is so cool, because that won't work for you, and you'll be miserable. And I did that when I was young, and it was like, oh, I can't live here my whole life. Hopefully I don't have to. And so as I've gotten more experience, I've embraced, you know, the me that's me. And I've gotten happier. So when you think about your aspirations, think truly about what you value and what you want to do next, right? And your brand will get you there. So with that, we're gonna sort of help you, right? Is that?
Yeah, we're gonna spend a little bit of time doing that, and then there'll be a chime, right, for us to move to the next topic.
Okay, great.
Okay. And so we're going to walk around the room, so ask us anything, but this is your time to work on your aspirations. Well, yeah, of course they should be. What else would you recommend?
Hi. So, I can help.
Who wants to shoot you?
If you want help.
As much as you can. So we'll do, you know.
Okay, what do you guys
You
want?
got it, yeah, and you're going to start the term, and then any barriers will go away. That's your next last
Yeah, I know. What are you doing? We're talking about the weekend. Yeah, I know. It's
Yeah, but here's my question for you. Yeah, so here's my issue with that. So, because I work a lot of so what I'm saying, you're gonna get your there you go. Yeah, number needs to
Like, I don't want to know. I want to be surprised. All of the gone girls?
What is that number called?
Yep.
And life and employers, right? And what is it?
No cheating, by the way. Look at the paper of the person next to you. What's he doing with his brand? That's exactly right. I couldn't. People think I had a Harry Potter fixation. I swear, as long
And what happened? What do you think?
The point is, when you look at aspirations, you know, these are things that are just pulled from life.
Right? Think about how you're going to, like, sort of being intentional about where you're going.
You're going to think about how to right?
Why not, like, you could still put something out there, it doesn't like have to be in stone, you could adjust it and fine tune it as you go, it's all you need. So I set a goal, it's not working, so I would travel. And I think it was a long time, like, from the time I
that's good. That's a hard thing.
easier. And when I first set this, I read it out in my box, right? I took the part of when I first started.
Did you?
I have to get everyone that experience, right, to do this. And so like, we're going to take planes, we're going to let someone else drive the boat, we're going to take a train. And so, and then our original goal is to be
Yeah.
arrive that allowed us to do this. And so if I had never set this goal, do you think that I would have gone on this?
Yeah, so I heard a lot of
To me, like, I think setting long-term aspirations is great, but don't get too attached to how. Yeah, maybe it's.
And so what I like about that is that you want to prioritize that right there time. Yeah. So everybody's running the time to part of this.
Yeah, or don't worry about the time frame so much, right? Like some of the people amazing to achieve.
Struggle when they need it. Right. Right. So creating a powerful.
You guys are really quiet at this table. There must be a lot of hard work going on. I've come over here to interrupt it.
We're taking this quite seriously.
I love it. I know. Well, there's going to be gold stars given out for whoever gets this done well. Stickers. Yeah.
Clearly.
I'll tell you. It's very ambiguous right now. Right? Yeah, maybe on a curve. It's a 1 to 5 scale, but no one can get 5.
Yeah. You guys are good.
I don't know though.
How far are we going? I did that for 5
Just the first page. So we're just on step 1 right now. Yeah, so what you should be working on step 1 right now, your aspirations. Just the first page. The I think. You would think I do.
Yeah.
I missed it. Well, not that. A little bit, but I just go. Also, I was
Well, they're also all my good friends.
right. I went to a very so now I got to go back to the that's been hard to look at me. I would have done I know. That's why
Like, what?
I knew I need to.
It's actually easier to fill out. It's actually easier to fill out the long-term. Started there. And they were able to think about the other 2 sections. Begin with the end in mind.
Other tables is just, the more specific and deliberate, the better, the sharper kind of that mission or that personal brand would be too. So, yeah, versus managing people. I want to be in this type of role, this type of company, managing a team of X. So, yeah.
It's more about what you are.
Correct. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Short-term stuff is do more about what I'm going to do, and some of those things have to happen what to do to achieve the peak.
Yeah, and it's hopefully like one reinforces the other. And I think Laura spoke to a little bit, you know, once she had she spoke to that she's very self-aware, and once she started putting herself in situations that kind of reflect who she is, she became that much happier. And I think that speaks to also us putting ourselves in the right position, the right role, the right job that allows us to exhibit strength.
Oh, the holy on. If I can get this successful, it wasn't actually. That's how it is.
You also have okay. Megan, you're so talented. I work with teaching. You're next, JD.
Oh, I am? Are we ready to roll?
Yes. You didn't hear the sign.
I didn't hear any chimes. I wrote the conversation.
I do empowered staffing.
These newfangled contraptions. How did everybody do? Did you get the right answers? Without cheating? So, my topic is my value. Think of the term value. Just for a sec, let it kind of resonate as a word. What does it imply, infer, connote, denote to you? Shout it out. Value.
An analogy is in baseball. I think there's a stats called wins after replacement. So because you're there, there's a delta, there's swing.
And everybody here is sabermetrically inclined in the minutia of baseball? Yes? I understand, but in terms of human value, where do you see professional value is emanating from?
I'll still, if I understand your question, I'm still going to use the same term. It's because of your presence and your contribution, you made a difference, whether it's quantifiable or not. Mm-hmm. But without you, X would have happened, but with you, Y happened, and Y is better.
Creating desirable outcomes through your presence for people who are aligned with you in some way. What else? Your value. What does value come down to? Does it come down to intellect? Does it come down to ability to lead? Does it come down to emotion, compassion, knowledge, integrity, honesty, trustworthiness? I could keep on going. Yes to all the above?
Yeah.
Here's what to think about. All great branding comes from a place of client pain. They're the ostensible features that we put out to the real world. People who see us and they know us and they can link us to some kind of association. We're bundled in their minds to something. That's the essence of branding. It's a very cerebral, neural concept that occurs at the highest intellectual and emotional levels of the brain. But to get to be a brand, you have to appeal to the sensibilities of others. And in professional circles, it is about creating value. It's about what you're known for. And what are you known for? It's tied to your message. It's tied to the niche that you're looking to drive. It's tied to the employer that you want to support, the clients that you want to derive results for. You all do things well. How many people here do a lot of things well? Here's the essence of this exercise: to isolate and identify your value. What is it that you do, A, the best out of all the things you do well, but B, better than anyone in your market, your field? And to isolate that content, answer the following two questions. Why you, and why now? Why you, and why now?
They need a person.
So we should be on the second page of your little packet in terms of the My Value.
Yep.
So think about kind of drilling down to some of the questions on that page.
Hard questions to answer though. You answer them right. Or honestly, you're not going to give up your personal values. They're always going to come through. So you have to align, especially in today's economy. Intertwined.
Where's winning the lottery? Inspiration.
I've been in it for 10 all the time when it's super big.
Right, it's like a word just provided.
I don't know, you like your job, I know you too well.
I do.
Maybe we'll make them more with yeah. It just may take longer. No, but the networking could pay off, right, depending on what it is, you get a board. Oh, you're on that one, I forgot. I told you on and I
I
forgot.
spend most of my evenings.
Is it the right board? Is it the right board? That would be the question. So if you define your brand a certain way, then that would evaluate that.
So
That's interesting.
What is that? Yeah, so what? You could transition.
Well, just
Your goals are very clear. You can use this as a way to prioritize. That's a separate use too. So what do you maybe something to Okay, great. Then you have to go. So how long do you write them? How do you make time and space to be able to do that? Right? The data entry.
So the first question is what I do for a living. We don't need to talk about that one because we could do your for a long time. Because essentially it's that I said people for one of the they don't know what our bias is. I think is so fascinating because as a consumer, the benefits I just see to provide versus what is that? But like the why
We do, it's funny though, like, I'm like, I think what you do is providing something rather than, avoiding something.
Yeah, so I know. This is the way I suppose we use waves for. They're based in line, but they're not supposed to, but I mean.
What's honest to you?
Sounds good. Okay. That's what I think. That's probably. We don't do the gecko, but we do things like that.
You're all very diligent in working back here. I'm gonna shake you up. What's going on? Good?
Yeah. Well, just to give you the time and space to think about it, right? Because this should really just be the start. It actually takes a lot of work to distill down.
We get so caught up in individual behavior. See that
Yeah.
I'm taking the time to
Yeah.
step back. You really have to be You have
Yes.
to put it on your calendar.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
You're going to spend 2 hours every day.
You do. That's why I tell my friends that a lot of them don't make time to get out and all make time to get out. It's a disservice. But I think it reinvigorates you when you make good time.
Oh, yeah.
Huh? You mean away from why I just put on my calendar. But it's as an executive of Flexera. No, no one knows who you are. But they will.
Really?
Yeah.
Goes back to the very beginning.
So he's an executive club member? Okay.
He got the mailing, and so he
He's like,
to me and said, he guessed. I mean, the only couple days.
Yeah.
And then I so
This is my brother-in-law.
He told me.
Yeah, so.
Michael and I talked.
So she's a big draw.
That's right. Yeah, look, it's a full room.
And I go back. And then he works for the He's out networking a lot. I like to I wish. If the firm is thinking of sponsors, they have good events. It's not. I'm after the social theater. I want to join the economic club. And my CEO.
I think I'm next, right?
Oh, good. So I'm going to join. It's super cool. You need to go.
Thank you. All right, so how was the value piece, my value? Good? Any ahas? Yeah? What was your aha?
I guess what I do right.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's the ability to simplify and the ability to develop creative solutions.
So what you bring, your ability to simplify and your ability to come up with creative solutions. Nice. And what is your business? Wealth management. Well, that is definitely good, isn't it? Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So hopefully some of you also had some aha moments. So now we're going to move to step 3, which is my stakeholders. And JD referred to this earlier, didn't he? Like, why are we doing all of this? We're doing it, right, in terms of our businesses. How do we create value for others? But we have to know who it is we're dealing with in order to do so. So a stakeholder is someone who is interested in what you are doing, how you are doing it, and its outcome. So what, how, and then what are the results? So that is the lens I would like you to have as you answer the 5 questions around context, right? So describing your customer, your client, maybe your employer, or the organization that you belong to. What are the success factors? So other people that are successful in your business or your role, what do they do? How do they do it? What are the expectations of our stakeholders? And then accolades. So those are your strengths. So what are you known for? What do people say you're really good at? When do you get kudos? So one of the things that I did this myself, the accolades that I get in my business at Aspiration Catalyst is people will often tell me that they like to partner with me, that I'm like working with your best friend. I've had several people, they just say it, like I don't prompt them, that's just what they say. Which I'm like, that's cool, right? Like that feels good. They think differently after we work together and they see results. The critique that I get sometimes is staying focused, because I'm moving pretty fast, and I don't know if any of you have ever taken the Strength Finder assessment, but strategic is number 2 for me, and that's sort of a problem sometimes because I am down the road and everyone else is like, what? Wait a minute, where are you? How did you get there? And I have to slow down and stop and explain, right, how I connected the dots between things. So that's my critique, or the thing that I work on. Okay, does that help? All right, great. I'll let you get to work.
struggling with the fact that you don't feel like you're getting explicit feedback? Do you think about your stakeholders? Yeah.
So I'm an independent consultant,
Yeah.
and for the last 3 or 4 clients, I asked, so what could I do better? I know I'm not perfect. You're doing great. We love you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. It's nice to hear I'm perfect, but I know I'm not.
Well, I think that you differently next time. Might be down here, may not get an answer. Any advice?
Really struggle with that.
I wonder what prompted the question, but it feels to me like both on the client side and in terms of everything else, people, it feels to me like people are trying to raise people. Like almost like a culture that people aren't engaged, and I don't know if other people are saying that. Like I think back to 10 years ago, I felt like people feel more comfortable being more direct. It just feels like people just they have a Steve is a very box. So I don't know how to deal with that, but I feel like it's a that's interesting. Yeah.
I'll just show I didn't plug me in with
We've also, in the last at least 5 years, from my perspective, had a lot of training on bias. And so when we give feedback, we want our feedback to be bias-free. And that is really hard. That is really hard. So I think that there's some dimension of that in the feedback landscape, that there's a number of tripwires that we are looking out for as we give feedback that can be damaging to others, damaging to ourselves and our career. So that's something that I think could potentially get in the way. I had a session where I called some folks together and asked for some really honest feedback. And it was super hard. It was super hard. It was one of the 1 or 2 most valuable personally for me meetings of my career. At the same time, all of what they said was absolutely right, and it was done in my best interest. And if you have colleagues that you can ask for feedback to really break it off and to really provide feedback, it really changed how I thought about myself. I didn't realize I could and was able to address that.
You know, I think that's really important. You just triggered a thought. Maybe, at least in my case, maybe I'm asking you. So instead of asking clients, how do they instead of talking we all have inner circles, colleagues, friends, people that might be a little more honest. What do you see? Like I serve on a board, and I should ask my board colleague
Martin, you're really, really good. But you're really, really good. That's it for I mean, I don't know if it's healthy for me. I'm hyper-paranoid, so I sometimes worry about things that aren't there, but I don't think the clients can tell you. You don't necessarily, something isn't going right either, or put a lantern over something that you worry about. So that's, you can't necessarily say, well, how do you feel when this one pushes? But, and you're right, when you ask, I mean, the place I find the easiest to talk about feedback with clients is on billing, which I do frequently. I say it at the beginning of an engagement, and I say it whenever there's a long term. Sometimes that can create some trust where you say, look, I don't want you upset about a bill because you see something you didn't expect. I want to know about that right up front. And maybe that's one that I think is comfortable for clients. Clients tend to not have a problem.
Operational.
They say, hey, why did this person work on this, or what was this about? I didn't know what was done, or why is this, and I usually open the door on that. And if that communication is good, which is often most friction, to get feedback or questions on what's going right.
Great. I feel compelled to share one thing back to this whole idea of honest feedback, how we sort of drifted away from that. So I'm a consultant in the area of transformational leadership. I help executives deal with large-scale transformation. And one of the most effective things that I've done in some of my mind workshops with executives is we do an exercise where we go around the table and we say one good thing and one bad thing about everything not bad.
Opportunity.
Right. For everybody else, it was so powerful. Holy cow, I never thought about it. Yeah. And it works every time. We need to get back to that.
Any reflections from the stakeholders discussion? I'll tell you, get us started with some discussion we had at our table. We recognize that feedback is hard to come by. And so as we think about getting feedback and requesting feedback, the feedback seems to be less specific these days. And we speculated that maybe, and this was my personal experience, that it could be that we're trying to eliminate bias from feedback actively in many of our organizations. And as a result, feedback becomes a tricky territory where there are tripwires or what seem to be peril. So we're not connecting perhaps as much as we would like to in a feedback context as this discussion.
One of the things we were talking about here is that we don't often get feedback and we need to ask for it. So if you're not getting it, I'd find a way to ask for it. And I think the thing that's also critical about that is making it really comfortable for the person who's sharing with you, right? So that you're not, don't defend, feedback is a gift, is what we used to say at one of the companies I worked for. And the best response to any feedback is always what? Thank you. Exactly. Right, thank you.
Terrific. Yes?
I was just going to say that, when it comes to getting a review at your company, or whoever you work for, it's nice when you actually have a review for yourself, when you write your own review, and see how you change yourself, and then they actually give it to you. How you do it. And I think that's, I know a lot of people do that, but it kind of really does help with that self-awareness or what.
Great. Anything else? Before we move on to the next one, the next step is I believe I'm on next for environment. The next step is very related to the prior. Your stakeholders are part of your environment, but we're going to broaden the scenario to a larger environment. In my undergraduate studies, I studied physics. And the area that I really loved, I don't know why, was thermodynamics. Thermodynamics is the study of how temperature changes molecules and their action. And so if you think about us as humans, how we are affected by the energy in a room, by the energy that we get from other people, how we feel when we go to a concert, how, especially thinking about Queen and the concert that has been getting a lot of coverage lately with the recent movie about the life of Freddie Mercury, the energy he created with the Live Aid concert. What kind of energy, what kind of environment are you in? What are you observing about the energy in your environment, positive or negative? How do you want to feed into that energy, ride that energy? And then as you think about the kind of feedback that you're getting, how are you chosen or not chosen for opportunities? How does the energy, how are you connecting to the energy in your environment? So take a few minutes to think about what's happening in your industry, what's happening in your environment that excites you, and then how are you getting on board, chosen for, or how are you not getting on board that energy? Any questions? All right.
Where's thought?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm surprised. Some of these questions that were asked, I didn't tire. Everybody's getting right through everything, so.
Actually, I think all of them on that table are hired, if you look at them.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Here's my personal branding, so it's height. But it's shared, not standing.
Great question.
All right, so where are you getting your energy from?
You want
Like,
to jump on?
yeah, digital copy,
Yeah.
just type it in.
Yeah, that's what for sure.
Keep the hard copy and change the pen. How it do it again and see how it evolves.
Date your entry.
That I'm excited about is about creating how do we tell our story? Well, we tell our story through creativity. How does that? So, I think it's one of those situations. Somebody
Yeah.
it's so easy.
Anybody else? What did you observe about it?
Yeah.
Is that a very
Sitting here going,
And then how are you testing?
what kind of business are you? We do distribution. Yeah.
Is there an extra one over here?
Woman? Oh, yeah. Well, I just work with I don't want to do that. It's a husband and wife. Whatever it is. No, it's a big process. They don't mess around.
Thank you.
Too much thank you very much.
You do?
I'm gonna start.
Rebellious Beverage Company.
I actually just poured one.
Oh, you did? What is it?
It's organic, liquid organic green tea.
Oh, very cool.
I tear that open and pour it into 12 ounces of hot or cold water.
That's awesome.
Super high antioxidants, 7 calories, 0 carbs.
Very nice. Very cool.
Sorry.
Rebellious. Why rebellious?
Captions we're going forward. rebelling against ways to class.
Yeah. Is it, and what about this packaging? Like, what do we, is that recyclable or?
It isn't, nobody has a foil package.
Oh, it's a foil packet, okay.
It's four ply plastic and foil.
Okay.
Whether you're talking ketchup or packets or whatever, nobody's figured out.
Nobody's figured out.
But doing this,
it's tiny, right?
Yeah. They come in 10 count boxes for way less than $2. You throw one in your carry-on, it brings 10 servings of iced tea. That's actually, I stole that line someone bought out there. They put it on Twitter, they showed a picture of their roller bag. Said I have 10 servings of iced tea.
Oh, there